G'day, welcome to Down to the Woodworks. Today's video is about my entry in the Carl Pope Woodcraft Build a Chair Challenge 2020. The timber I used for the chair is called design pine. It's made of finger jointed, treated pine, and it's pre-primed. The boards are very straight, flat, and free of any voids, knots, or defects, so it saves a lot of milling time. All the pieces for the chair are cut from 138mm wide boards. The boards come in 5.4 metre lengths, so I had to cut them to specific lengths at the timber yard that would fit into my car and that would also yield all the pieces with minimal waste. That took a little bit of working out. It was just a matter of marking out all the components from their respective length and cutting them out using the circular saw, table saw, bandsaw and router table. Here I'm cutting up the seat slats. And these are the back slats that actually got ripped down to a narrower width than what you see here as the build went along. As you go, design changes. And here's most of the chair pieces. Here I'm cutting out the front legs on this fixed tapering jig that was made just for this process. Next, I worked on the parts that needed to be shaped. These are the armrests. This is one of the original templates I made about 20 years ago when I made the first of these chairs. The template is screwed to the underside of the armrest so the holes won't be seen. And I always like to raise my template slightly when I'm going to use a flush trim bit, just so the cutter contacts the entire edge of the board, but not the template. Then I just trim the pieces close to the line on the bandsaw and finish them on the router table. Same process for the side seat supports, which are also the rear legs. Then all the cut edges got a small round over to match the factory edges. I gripped the seat slats together in bunches of 6 and fed them through the thicknesser to clean up the saw marks and bring them down to final width. Using a simple jig on the drill press, I drilled the screw holes in the end of each of the seat slats. The edges of the seat slats get painted prior to assembly because they're installed with a 3mm gap between each of them, and it'd be hard to get paint in there. Wherever pieces are glued together, I remove the primer to get good glue adhesion to bare wood. This is the first slat to get installed as it wraps around the front corner of the seat, and then the rest just follow from that. I don't use glue for the seat slats because there'll be a little bit of flexing in them, and that may loosen the glue joint over time. Plus, it's much easier to replace any slats that may need it in the future. With the seat and rear leg assembly in position, I mark where the front leg will attach and sand off the primer because this joint will be glued. Using the template again, I drill out the screw holes for the front leg assembly and then glue and screw them in place. I use a square on my workbench to make sure the leg is plumb. These small pieces are the armrest supports that I cut out of some regular pine board I had in the shop. Usually these pieces are just screwed on from the inside of the leg, but I thought I'd give my Dowmax a run instead. So satisfying. The original chairs I made had flat backs, but I wanted to change that to curved, so I needed another template because this was the first time making them like this. The back needs two of these supports, a lower one that's fixed to the rear leg assembly and a higher one that gets fixed to some vertical supports. The screw holes for the template will be used as the screw holes to fix this piece in place on the chair. I thought I'd make use of the double bearings on this router bit so that I was only cutting downhill or with the grain. To be honest, the reason why I didn't do this on the earlier pieces was just laziness. I did get a little bit of tear out on them, hence why I'm doing it properly here. The back slats were then screwed to the lower support just with one screw because they're going to be fanned out at the top. And those are the screw holes from the template. I put the chair back in place in a mock-up so I could work out the vertical supports, because like I said, this is the first time making the curved back, so I didn't have a measurement or shape for them. The rear vertical supports are fixed to the end of the armrest, so they had to go on next. They just get screwed in place from the top. So I drilled the screw holes with the two pieces together, but I wanted to cap these screws with dowels, so I countersunk them a little deeper with an 8mm drill bit. Now I could install the rear support. I used a straight edge to mark the screw holes for the upper support. And then with the slats evenly spaced, I just used my tape measure to mark a curve for final trimming of the backrest. I removed the slats and cut the curves on the bandsaw, and then used the belt grinder to get the final shape. I doubled up the same shaped opposing slats so they would be identical and make the curve symmetrical. Then it was time to reassemble the backrest. And the chair was finished, ready for paint. Well, I'm really happy with how the chairs turned out. I really did need a new set of outdoor chairs, so a big thank you to Carl for calling this challenge, because to be honest, I don't know when I would have got around to it if I didn't have that motivation. If you want to know what I'm up to in between videos, make sure you follow me on Instagram. But in the meantime, you guys all have a great day.